Hello everyone and welcome to Cosmere Counseling, a podcast exploring therapeutic lessons we can glean from the work of our favorite author, Brandon Sanderson. I'm Joseph, a licensed marriage and family therapist.
I'm Danielle, a board-certified behavior analyst.
And I'm Garrett, also a board-certified behavior analyst.
For our spoiler warning today, we are only looking at the Isles of Emberdark.
Yippee!
So it's a pretty Cosmere-aware book, but
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
if you have read that book, you will not be spoiled by today.
Yeah, and if you haven't read it, it is amazing. Go read it.
I don't think I've ever had a book with more of the background of what's going on in the Cosmere. I was so excited to read this book, and it did not disappoint.
Nope, it did not.
Yeah, it's one of the most Cosmere-aware ones so far. It's exciting. And I'm so excited for more Space Age. Space Age is so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Very, very, very exciting times as we move along the Cosmere timeline.
So with that, we've all just finished this book in the last year here, and we don't really have a set topic today.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at more kind of a hodgepodge conglomeration of our reactions to this book and the various psychological themes that we've seen
Picked
in
up.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to kind of topic hop. Let us know in the comments and email if you like or don't like that.
Yeah, this is more of a we've read it and here are some of the things that we notice as we're reading it for the very first time.
Mm-hmm. So I thought we could talk about Dusk a little bit and then talk about Starling a little bit and then maybe like the team all together. With that though, it might be a 2-part episode.
Right.
So we'll just maybe get going with Dusk and then see where we end up.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Sounds good.
Garrett, could you give us a summary of what's going on in this book?
Yeah, for sure. For anyone that didn't take the spoiler warning seriously before, I'm about to spoil the entire book. So if you were trying to be sneaky and not listen to the book or read the book, it's all over from here. So you better pause now if you haven't read it.
Spoiler warning. You have been warned.
Multiple times. All right. Isles of the Emberdark. So this is a continuation of the story from Brandon Sanderson's novella, Six of the Dusk. If you haven't read that, that's totally fine because he puts it into the first little bit of Dusk, which I thought was awesome. I actually listened to it right after I listened to Six of the Dusk, and he actually makes some little changes that it was cool to see those changes. So Dusk, he's a former trapper on the dangerous island of Patchy, which is his home world, and is adjusting to a changing world where there are literally people coming from other planets. They call them the ones above. Here on Dusk's world, they have these invested birds that they call AVR, and they grant powers to different people on their planet. So for example, Dusk, he's got his bird that lets him see his corpse, which I think would be super freaky, but it works for him. So he sees his corpse and he knows there's danger. Yeah, I see dead people. Exactly. Oh man, that would be so scary. I feel like he'd have to have nightmares.
Talking about living in a horror movie.
No kidding.
It's a warning though. He sees his corpse when there's danger, like
Right.
when he could die.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And there's a point in the novella and in Emberdark where his corpse is literally everywhere. And I think I would need serious therapy after that. Not just Cosmere counseling, but serious therapy. Anyways, so these other worlds want to take their AVR. We learn that pretty fast in the book, but they can't because there's Cosmere-wide rules that say they have to be advanced enough. So the ones above are making little tricks and little traps so that way Dusk's world can become more advanced, so that way they can start trading for their AVR. And that's kind of where the book leaves us. That's a bunch of the flashbacks. That's what we learned from those throughout the first part. But then it leads us there where the ones above have just about won. They are about to have trapped the people on this planet. I remember it as First of the Sun. Do you guys remember if it had a different name?
Oh, yeah, I think the Scadrians called it something else.
Yeah.
But we're going to go with what the natives call it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is a way cooler name. First of the Sun is so cool. But yeah, the First of the Sun people, they're kind of backed into a corner. They can't really do anything without the help of the ones above, who, as Danielle said, are the Scadrians, our favorite Scadrial people. But Dusk, so they feel like they have no choice but to agree. But Dusk decides that he's going to try to find a way out. So him and his friend Vathi, they find a perpendicularity, And Dusk decides that since Vothi is about to get ousted from her own government, he's just going to go on a little boat ride through the perpendicularity, which is pretty much impossible to navigate because they're not in the big Shadesmar lanes where everyone knows where they can go. They're off in the Emberdark, where there's no navigation, there's nothing. So Dusk goes, he's got his little worm paste that he puts on the bottom of his boat, and then he just moves on, trying to survive throughout the Emberdark. I'm not going to go through everything he went through, but basically he had to fight some Emberdark snakes. I don't remember what he called them, but they're creepy. And then as a crazy idea, he eats the worm paste, which, ew, first of all, but it works for him. It gives him his investiture, so he can now sense. He can now sense things in the Emberdark. He can feel the pulsing of the powers that are coming from Threnody, which is a big marker in the cognitive realm. And so he's able to find an island where he thinks he's found a way out, but first people he runs into are more Scadrians. So he's like, well, crap.
That kind of these Scadrians. It's the same people that have been bothering his people.
Yep, the exact same ones. So meanwhile, there's another perspective that it gets into in part 2, which is also important. There's Starling. She's our little dragon, and she's probably my favorite person ever. I love Starling. She is a dragon who is imprisoned in her human form because she rebelled against the dragons. She didn't listen to them, and they just want her to follow what all other dragons do and not interfere as much, but she didn't listen. It doesn't say what she did, though, unless you guys picked up on it. Does it ever say what she actually did?
I don't think so. I think it just hints.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So probably going to see more of her in the future, and I'm so excited for when we do.
Oh, yeah.
But
we got a whole lot more about dragons than we ever did in any other book.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I loved it. Learning all about what's their planet called, Yolen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was super cool. Anyways, Starling, she's on a spaceship, and she's got her crew that she wants to keep safe. And they end up fighting. I'm going to skim through this because I feel like I've been talking for ages about this summary. But they end up finding a investiture entity, which is basically a crazy investiture from when Threnody, its shard died. So there's these crazy investiture monsters going around called entities. And they manage to save some people from an entity, and they get this little map to a secret perpendicularity that no one's ever found before. And it's the one that Dusk has gone through. But they don't know that yet. We just know that as anyone who's reading it, if you were connecting the dots as it goes. So she makes a deal with another dragon, Master Xysis. This was super exciting for me because I read this right after Tress of the Emerald Sea. So That was super cool to see Master Xysis. So she makes a deal with Xysis that if they can find this perpendicularity, then he will let them all go free. So they go off to find the perpendicularity, and they run into the same island where Dusk has run into, and they also get captured by Scadrians. And I just love how much everyone hates Scadrians in the Cosmere. So no one's happy that they ran into Scadrians. Everyone's bummed.
I can't wait for them to meet Thydakar.
Oh, I know, right? That would be pretty awesome. I still can never tell if Thydakar is going to be someone that I'm going to be rooting for in the Space Age or not.
Yeah, right.
Goes back and forth in my head.
No, me too.
Yeah.
Anyways, so they all end up on this island, and all the Scadrians also think that the perpendicularity is on this island. Only Dusk knows that it's not. So he doesn't tell anyone. I'm so proud of Dusk in this. He kind of manipulates them all because everyone just thinks Dusk is this primitive savage and has no idea what's going on. He just kind of rolls with it. It's like, yep, we'll look for the perpendicularity, and there's a tunnel of death that they have to go through. And Dusk ends up going through it with Starling. Long story short, it's all the different dangers that were on Patchy, which is where Dusk was trapping originally. And as he goes through it, he realizes that the dangers that he's experiencing are in the exact same order that he experienced them when he met his friend Vothi for the first time in the Sixth of the Dusk novella, which pretty creepy, pretty eerie. Doesn't know why. Eventually, he learns that it's because he's in the cognitive realm, and his mind is literally affecting this place because it's actually the home of another cognitive entity, another creepy investiture monster that is in the form of a snake this time. The snake, it takes after the legend that his people have of something called the Dequora, which was a monster that their ancestor Kakabon stopped in order to help all of his friends navigate the Midnight Sea.
because the cognitive realm shapes to the thoughts, the beliefs of the people, in the physical realm in that area.
Exactly.
It's so cool.
Oh, I know. I thought that was awesome.
We're going to talk about that.
Got some thoughts.
Oh, yes. So their stories literally shape this monster into a giant snake that if Dusk can beat it, then the snake serves him. So while Starling's trying to escape from the Scadrians with her crew and things aren't going right, Dusk beats a snake. It would be an amazing movie scene. He's literally riding on a boat, spearing littler snakes to get around the bigger snake, and then he wins the respect of the bigger snake, the Daquara.
I'd like to play it in a video game, like play Dusk, like jumping and getting jumping on the other snakes.
Yeah, that would be hard. I think I would probably just cry at the end of it because it would be so hard.
And I want a movie of the Xysis piano scene. I need that. Somebody needs to write that song, so cool. And the tension in that scene was awesome.
Yes. It's very, very masterly crafted scene.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so beautiful. I would love to. Well, I wish I could say, I'll go write that for you, Danielle, but I don't think I could. It was way too good.
Get on it, Garrett.
That'll be part 3 of this episode.
Yes.
Anyway, so he captures the loyalty of this Daquara and uses it to scare off the Scadrians. And then he goes off with Starling back to his home world where they're about to give in to the ones above once again. But then Dusk says, hey, no, I have a giant snake god as my friend, so let's not do that. And also, he teaches them all how to navigate in the Emberdark, that his people, some of the trappers, if they eat the worm paste, can also sense the little pulses in the cognitive realm, so they can navigate just like him. And so that's where it leaves us, is that the people of the First of the Sun are able to hire themselves out as trappers, and then they don't have to make a deal with the Scadrians or the Rosharans or anyone because they are just as important as everyone else. So they save their AVR, and Dusk goes off with Starling, who is able to free her crew because they showed Xysis the perpendicularity. And that's kind of where the story ends, with everyone happy, and they've got these cool trappers now. Amazing story.
This cool Star Crew people to see in the future. I love the team.
The follow-up to this novel is going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Any sort of novel with these characters. I want Starling's background. I want the tame Shade. I want his background. I want to know what's going on with Uncle Frost. I want to know it all.
Yeah.
Right? And Hoyd's wife and kids? What?
Yeah. And that's the thing with Brandon's writing, why it's so awesome, is that there's always something that you never expect will happen. I do not expect how the story is going to get turned around, that was the solution they're going to come to. I had no idea.
We've done a lot of geeking out that's not counseling. We'll have to...
Probably why we always need a topic.
No, it's good. We wanted to react, so we're reacting. Yes, so many thoughts. So I guess to get to our topics, our thoughts, talking about Dusk, I wanted to talk about some magic systems and how they've related to him. I was thinking we could have this new section of our show called Metaphors from Magic, because it's an alliteration and it sounds beautiful.
I love it.
Hashtag it, trademark it. Oh, crap.
That little sound was perfect when you said hashtag it, so you might not even need to cut that sound out.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Bing. Bing. No, now I'm Brandon. Bing. I saw some cool metaphors in this magic system. I don't know if you guys want to add any.
Yeah, we just go with the ones that you notice, and then we can add to it, because I think our thoughts are along the same lines. Go ahead.
Well, we'll see. The first one I want to talk about is the corpse. I thought that was so interesting to watch because, Sog, is that the bird's name?
Yeah,
Sog?
I think so. Like Sock or something.
Shows him his corpse when there's a danger. So on Patchy, that's totally super, super functional for him, right? He goes and there's a death anthill. He sees his corpse. He turns the other way. And then there's a what's it in the water, and he sees his corpse and he goes a different way. And it works really well in that setting. But then later, when the company comes in and Vathi's people, he starts to see his corpse in some more convoluted situations. And maybe he sees Vathi's corpse that one time.
Yeah.
And And then when he's with the Scadrians again, like he sees his corpse more, and it's not just that's a physical danger, turn away. There's multiple times there's two really cool times that I'm thinking of that he steps over his corpse. But I was thinking about how that could relate to our fight-flight response. And how our emotions evolved from this time that was more like a trapper's time, right? Where you see a bear,
you run away. Right.
But now we've got these social dangers and political dangers and emotional financial dangers.
Right.
And
that doesn't kill you immediately.
Right. Well, and the answer is not to run away.
Right.
Oftentimes.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you need to take that information from your fight-flight response. Thank you, body, for telling me there's a danger here. I need to step over my corpse and go handle this. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think it's cool how he always has to analyze exactly what the danger is, because it doesn't just spell it out for him in most situations. He's got to think about it. And then even then, he still has to step over it. Sometimes he can avoid it, but it takes some like brain power.
Right, which makes these more convoluted type of death foreshadowing a lot more difficult for Dusk initially to really make sense of them. And it's the same thing with us in our daily lives, is that because there isn't a super cut and dry where this threat is actually coming from, it can make it a lot harder for people who are not practiced with dealing with these things, these anxieties, to become paralyzed by the fact that they're seeing a threat. Their fight-flight responses are sensing a threat, but they don't really know how to deal with it. Where for Dusk, Patchy, he knows exactly how to deal with his stressors, but in the modern world, he doesn't initially. And so that's a parallel for our day-to-day life as well. There are certain threats that are very, very straightforward, and then there are other ones that are not.
Yeah, the two moments I'm thinking of is one with when Vathi and him, like right as the company is taking over, Vathi's company is taking over Patchy, and they're meeting the ones above. Vathi and him recognize, oh my goodness, the ones above are trying to
take over.
Like they're seeding us this information to eventually take us over.
Right.
And Vathi says something like, will you help me or whatever? And he sees his corpse, and then he steps over it to go get on the ship and be with her. And he mentions something about the world is changing no matter what. We need to do something, whether or not it's dangerous. And then at the end, when he fights the Decora right before a video game scene, he sees his corpse and he's like, thank you, Sog. And Sog's like, what are you doing? And he still steps over it. And I just thought that was such a cool metaphor moment of, thank you, anxiety. Yes, some, people might not like what I have to say, or I might look stupid, or, whatever my anxiety is telling me. But this is still important for me to do it. And I'm going to take that information that, yes, there's a danger here, use it for what it's worth, and still move towards my values.
Right. Or move towards the goals and the things that we want to accomplish. And that is what bravery really is about. It's knowing that there is something that we're afraid of, and yet because it's worthwhile, and if it speaks to our value and it's meaningful to us, we make that step anyway.
Yeah.
Oh,
feel
yeah,
the
for
fear.
sure.
I feel like we could find a way to put that on a t-shirt. Make that step anyway. Feel the fear and make that step anyway. Somebody give us a good one-liner.
What's the most important step you can take?
There you go.
The next one. No, it's so true. Honestly, I feel like this episode is coming at one of the most perfect times in my life, because the other day at work, I had to do something that stressed me out to the max. Like I was so stressed out. I was worried about everything that could go wrong. If I were that bird, like there would be corpses raining down everywhere. Just so much stress. And I tried to avoid it. I tried to get around it, and I thought I was sick. I wasn't sick. Or if I was sick, it was all because it was in my head. Just going to work that day a little later, thinking I'd avoided everything, and what I had to do ended up happening anyways. So, and it wasn't as bad as I thought. So I ended up having to step over the corpse, even though I tried every which way to get around it. So, not that you can't always get around it. There's some ways that it works out and you can problem solve and still progress, but sometimes really it is the only option is to just step over the corpse.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I like thinking about it as like your nervous system, your emotions give you information
Right.
for you to consider, right? Is, thank you, Sog, there's some danger here. Let me think about it. Is this a good danger to get around, or would getting around it, cause me problems in other areas? Is it more worth stepping over it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you need to consciously make that evaluation. You can't always just let the anxiety or the fear drives you every which way.
Yeah.
If I try to get around it, will I be forced into it eventually anyway? Like Garrett.
Honestly, probably. And it's always going to have that stress. Like, it's still a dead body you're stepping over, you're going to have that stress. It's just a natural reaction. Same with anxiety. It's just a natural reaction of the body adapting to change. And it sucks, but you got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I love that thought too because Dusk wasn't fazed by seeing his dead body. He was like, okay, there's some information, but he told other people and they're like, what? You see a corpse?
Yeah.
But he got to the point where he could just recognize, oh, I'm flagging some danger. Life goes on.
Right. Oh, very, very sad. Anyway, and that is the thing, is that we can learn from Dusk's example here and what it can look like when we develop these experience handling and managing our anxiety, right? Because anxiety is always going to be there, just like the power that Saw give to Dusk, and it is unavoidable. In each and every one of our lives, we are going to face them. You can't avoid it. They're going to come to you. So you have two choices. Number one, you pretend you don't see them, you run away and never really learn how to deal with the death and nest in front of you. Or you see the threat, you acknowledge the anxiety, and you learn to deal with it. The more we learn to deal with it, the more we have the power to respond quickly when we see that same threat again. Right? It's a learning process. If we don't confront our fears and our anxiety, we will always be controlled by it. And so Dusk is this example that we can follow it in ways that if we are willing to learn the skills to deal with each of the anxieties that we come in contact with, we are essentially empowering ourselves to be able to manage and work through our anxieties and continue to find success and meaning in the day-to-day challenge that we might face, rather than becoming paralyzed by it.
God, that was really good. I have nothing to add there.
Okay, so metaphors from magic. Learn from Dusk and his corpse. The other thing I was thinking of, and this we might not have enough to go off of to get into it too much today, but I think it'll become an even bigger thing as we do more space age books.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking about how the cognitive realm shapes to what you expect of it. And we were talking about Dusk sees the Decora from his legends, and Starling sees it as it's an entity, and she knows all the science behind that. And that made me think about how even in real life, everybody has your culture, everybody has your own experience, and we are writing our own realities in our heads about what our own beliefs about ourselves, our own beliefs about the world, based on our culture, our experiences,
our interpretations of what's around us.
And I just thought that was an interesting thing to ponder about how they each came at it their own way. And I love seeing how the cognitive realm responds to Dusk's people's beliefs. Kind of made me think of that. I don't know who says it, but there's that quote, if you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're right.
Yeah. I don't know who says it either, but that's good.
Yeah, I don't know. It's on billboards. But I think you see that from Dusk being able to, like, he knows he can beat the Decora and it will serve him. And he finds that grounding in his beliefs and in his reality and sees it in the world. And I think that has some parallels to us, and how what we choose to believe about ourselves and our experiences can make a big difference about how we feel about them, about whether we decide to act on them, what options we give ourselves for moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it reminds me a lot of confirmation bias. You tend to find the facts and look at the facts that prove you right. In the book, it talks about how it's a good thing humans can't imagine distance very well, because otherwise the cognitive realm would expand to what it actually is in space. But because they expect it to, like, 1,000 miles in our head is nowhere near to what 1,000 miles actually is, and millions of miles is even harder for us to fathom. So just the same with confirmation bias. If we think that our goal is attainable, yeah, we're right. And if we think, oh, there's no way I can do that, we're also right. Just like your billboard said, Danielle.
Well, usually you hear about confirmation bias in like a negative light. So that was interesting for me to, at least in my
like you
in my experience,
like a positive interpretation of that concept.
But it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
You have your culture, the way you're seeing the world, and now you've got what's presented in front of you that you can kind of assimilate into that. And similarly, I think to the emotions, we can take what's presented, and is our story serving us? Are our beliefs serving us, or are they not?
Yeah. In therapy, we have this model called narrative therapy. And I'm not a narrative therapist, but I've learned about it. So if I get this wrong, please correct me in the comments. But essentially, it's this idea of helping, like, the therapist can engage with the client in rewriting how they see their life's narrative and the narrative of the challenges that they're facing, and helping them find solutions and figuring out a different way, a more helpful way of dealing with what they're going through.
Because what's happened has happened. You can't change the facts.
Correct.
But changing how you do have control over how you react to it.
Yeah. And you can find meaning in the in the suffering or in the pain that speaks to you, that empowers you.
Are you dwelling on how you were wronged and how it's all these other people's fault, or are you focusing on what you learned and how you grew?
Right, and there are many different types of suffering, and so finding the narrative that helps you to engage your life in a more meaningful, a more productive way, like that is one of the goals of narrative therapy. Because our brain is a very, very powerful imaginative tool. Even if you don't feel like you're a creative person, what you believe will dictate so much of your day-to-day life. Your worldview, your values, like all of that goes into that. And one of the perfect example is the matter of the fact is there is a cosmic entity living right here in the book. Like, that's a fact. No one can dispute that. Now, Starling, from her perspective, she sees that as, oh crap, like, this is super dangerous. Like, and
Dusk sees the opportunity.
Right. And Dusk sees an opportunity because of the legends that he learned about. That this is an entity that can be beaten, that can be tamed. Someone has done it in the past. And so he is able to find that strength and that solution to their problem there. Whereas Starling, she probably was like, I'm not gonna, like, and if the Scadrian knows about what that entity is, they're probably just gonna be like, okay, we're screwed. We're not gonna go poke that bear.
Yeah.
Right? And so your belief about a given fact can greatly influence what you're gonna do about it.
Or what, inspiring stories you've heard before about that.
Right.
He had it's been done before. He knew that.
Yeah.
And the others didn't know about that.
Or others, they may know about it, but they don't believe it. It doesn't hold any meaning to them, but it does for Dusk, because he is a trapper. This is his tradition. So there's a lot of power that comes from what you believe, and that greatly influences how you interpret the world and the things that you see, which is why we see a lot of times people find a lot of comfort and joy in midst of the suffering through religious practices and religious beliefs, right? It helps shape how they interact with the struggles in their lives versus others who do not see the same struggle the same way. If you're not in that belief system, you will not be able to understand how they interpret these facts.
Well, it's a lot easier when you're going through life, when you run into trials, when you think there's some higher power behind it, whether it's God or karma or the universe. And I'm thinking of when they're going through that tunnel of death in Emberdark, they go through the entire thing and it's a dead end with just a medallion. And to everyone else, it's just a huge dead end and they're disappointed and they say it's a waste of time. To Dusk, he realizes it's shaped him into who he needs to be and it's proven that he's ready to face the Dakwara. And so having that religious perspective or some sort of meaning behind those hard times, not necessarily a religious one. It can really shape your world a lot.
All those beliefs will influence how you interpret the world and what happens in your life. And that's the power from how our mind can shape our reality and how their mind shaped the cognitive realm. Yeah. It's a big parallel right there. We were geeking out the whole time.
Speaking of Dusk's beliefs, another theme in his story is how the world is changing and progressing around him.
Without him.
Without him to a point,
Yeah.
but he does a pretty decent job keeping up.
Yeah, right. He has multiple times lamented that he doesn't understand the world anymore.
Kind of stumbled his way into it, like being a part of the change.
Yeah, I think that's a big theme of this book is these cultural and generational changes that are happening so quickly. And we see these, in our own lives. Everybody over the generations, things change, and there's this element of mourning the good old days, right? Like mourning what we're losing and remembering fondly, what was there.
About the 80s skating rinks and the arcade and
are those your good old days?
No, just giving
those are my
example.
good old days. I'm still in those days. I go to Nickelcade whenever I can.
Really?
Yeah.
And there's an element of that. It's sad to see the Blockbuster close, but there's also this excitement about progression and new discoveries and all the cool things my iPhone can do. And I think this is something we all face. And there is, in psychology research, there's this common pattern seen where when something advances, there's a cultural change. There's an immediate impulse to reject it and to protect what you know, protect your current science, your current culture. And then, that kind of, you start to grow to see the benefits of the new one. And there might be some conflict between people trying to advocate for progressing and people trying to advocate for maintaining. And usually then eventually society at large lands somewhere in the middle.
Right. Because if something really doesn't work, they tend to just start to fade into the background.
Yeah. Or where, the things from the past that there are some wisdoms from the past that stick, and but then there are some new things that are coming that they work and people adopt them. I think with Dusk, you see the old ways of trapping on Patchy are gone, and that does need to be mourned. You see him mourning it, but also this power that the trappers have as expert navigators, is being brought. They keep some of that wisdom and bring it into the new world, the space age.
Ooh, I just got chills from that, Danielle, of like landing somewhere in the middle, and that's exactly what Dusk ended up doing with these trapper powers. It just hit me. I didn't think of that before. That is awesome.
Yeah.
That's something we all face is that things are changing around us, and the question is, where in the middle do you want to land? And what do you want to respect and learn from the history and your past and the old past, and then how do you personally want to recognize and benefit from the utility that there is in the new.
Right. And of course, there will be certain things that will be left behind and they become part of your memory and they become a part of history. And those need to be mourned, which is one thing I really like about the animated film Suzume. I don't know if you've seen it, Garrett.
I haven't.
One of the cool things that they do is they go around closing doors to places that used to have a lot of memory, a lot of history.
There's like a ritual of remembering them.
Right, because we have rituals when we have groundbreaking, when we like open up a new store. There's a lot of ritual that goes into opening up a place. But there isn't a whole lot of rituals about closure.
Yeah.
In our society, in our lives. And so they go around and closing these doors and performing these rituals and laying to rest the memories that used to be here.
It's very edge dancer of you, Joseph.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So bringing up this, we need to respect change, and then there's the old ways. We are all kind of scientists, and we've got that scientific skepticism. Where would you guys say the line is, like, between being a little skeptical of new things versus holding on too much on ideas that are holding us back? What are your thoughts on that?
When people are at the extremes, never trust them.
Ooh, that's fair.
That is advice I will boldly give. If someone is only pushing for advances that like says this is the best thing ever and you're only going to benefit from this, there is no repercussion. Like when it sounds too good to be true, it is too good to be true. And people who are refusing to acknowledge any sort of risk, those people are dangerous. Some examples, things that happened in the last several years: Bitcoin, or NFT, if you know what those are. Initially, people are praising it as the new economic system, and everyone's buying into it. There's billions and billions of industry are being built around it. And then after a year or two, it all came crashing down. Now they don't worth anything. And people are scammed out their life savings, and just like, these are all very dangerous things that people weren't careful about because they've been praised and heralded as this new thing that everyone should get on it. If you're not, you're stupid.
Do not take economic advice from therapists. We don't know what we're talking about.
But just looking at behavioral patterns, right?
Right.
People who refuse to acknowledge any sort of risks,
yeah,
they are dangerous. Their advice are dangerous. So go back to my original principle of, if they're on either extreme, don't trust them, because the truth usually lies somewhere in the middle.
Oh, I like that.
Well, I've been looking at the preserving history side,
Mm-hmm.
If I'm focused on all the good that's here, but you might be missing out on the good that is
right
coming. I think, and this is a very coming from acceptance and commitment therapy background, we view health as, we call it psychological flexibility. Being able to be flexible, being able to recognize, okay, what's the good here? What's the good here? How can it apply to my life? I think this is what it comes down to, is just like we were talking about Dusk, and considering the emotions and the information from his nervous system. Take the information from what you're being presented with, and what is meaningful about these past things that I can maintain in whatever way is going to be workable in my life right now, helpful in my life right now, and what's beneficial about these new things, or has been explored enough to, I can recognize the risk of these new things that I might be able to apply in my life. I think it's a balancing game.
Yeah.
And that change, I love that you said it's in the middle, and those big extreme jumps aren't going to get you anywhere. I mean, we couldn't have a TV before we had a light bulb, and they couldn't have their navigation system in the cognitive realm without the AVR and without first trapping on Patchy. And so it really does come in those small increments, like you were saying, and acknowledging those risks. I really like that. That's that acceptance piece. Yeah, love it.
I think the way it happens to Dusk is horrible. Like, having your whole way of life completely upended in the blink of an eye like that.
Yeah. And sadly, that is many people's experience.
Yeah. No, Brandon was getting into some real historical
trauma.
Yeah. Ideally, we would have wanted to see some more respect given to the trappers and the balance of these changes, or maybe not changing as much as they did. But I think, despite what he went through, and it wasn't his fault, despite what Dusk went through, I think he was such a great example of radical acceptance, is what it's called. Stepping forward and really, he could have spent his days just cursing Vathi's company and the ones above and just feeding into his own victimhood.
But he didn't.
He acknowledged and wrestled with those feelings that, man, this is hard, and this isn't, I don't know what I'm doing.
This doesn't make sense to me.
But then he was always looking for the next thing he could do. It's like, okay, I don't understand this. I have no place in politics, but I can go through that perpendicularity. And I have no place on this planet except as like an idolized hero at the end, but I can
join Starling's crew.
I can join Starling's crew. And I'm so excited that he did.
Yeah. And that goes back to the fact that he has years and years of experience facing down threats and anxieties and things that could kill him, right? He has the experience of dealing with danger. And he knows that because he was trained to know that there's always something he can do. What is the next thing he can do?
Well, and that kind of brings both of our metaphors together of like our seeing our corpse and stepping over it and changes in the world. Like you got to step over the changes too, even when they're not dangerous. It's just a different way of life and it's what you need to adapt to. You got to step into the change.
Yeah, like it's going to happen whether you like it or not.
It's going to move.
What's the next thing you can do? And maybe part of that is doing something to preserve what was meaningful about the past.
Right.
Maybe also it's learning something new to find, have more of a place in this new world.
Yeah, this might be a bad example, but like embracing the digital age and doing short form content to educate people about these, old ways of living and like these archaeological discoveries and things like that, that can be a new way to engage and pull both the new and the old together.
I was actually thinking similar lines about digital age. I was imagining some guy refusing to use a phone because he likes writing letters better and just how much it would slow down life for you.
But then when you do write that letter and mail it to someone and they receive it, how much more special is that, right?
That's a good point, yeah.
Look at the situation. If you're trying to schedule an appointment on next week, then maybe the phone's going to be better. But if you're trying to write it, there might be a time that a letter is going to be so much more meaningful.
Yeah.
And we might forget that if we don't treasure that.
Right.
Keep our options open.
Keep that flexibility there.
Yes. That wasn't supposed to be the topic today.
That's okay.
That's where we go. Yeah, I think Dusk is a great example. He has these wrestles, and he just allows those thoughts to be part of his experience and looks for his next step. And he doesn't put his sense of self on the line either. Like he makes a few statements of, I don't belong here, or I only know how to do this, but it never sounds like he's like his self-esteem is shot. He's always like, well, what can I do? I'm going to go do that. Even if I don't really know my full place yet, I'm just going to keep moving forward until I find it.
Right. He continues to hold on to what he already knows. And I think a lot of the struggle that people come to face is they kind of they're tempted to throw away everything they know because the world doesn't make sense anymore. But Dusk here is, yes, the world doesn't make sense, but I still know what I know. These things still make sense to me, and I'm gonna use what I know to take that next step.
And he does, and it's so cool.
Right.
I love when the Scadrians keep calling him primitive, and he is just like, he doesn't care. He's like, I have value and I have strengths, and I'm gonna use those. And he does, and he blows everyone out of the water.
Yeah.
But I think it would have been so easy for him to take this statement of, I'm just a trapper from Patchy. That could have been something that was like a demeaning, I'm obsolete, I'm useless kind of statement. But instead he took it, and he took that to mean, I'm resilient. I am a trapper from Patchy.
Right. How many trapper of Patchy how many people in that world can say, I'm a trapper on Patchy? Not many alive.
Right. And he was able to channel that into being, and then Patchy talks to him, right?
Right.
He took that to be, I've been deemed worthy of my god, and now I've got these extra powers. So cool.
Right. And that is the power of, you don't doubt your own worth and the things you do know to be true and useful and powerful for you, just because some other people may look flashier. We don't need to seek to try to impress people. Too much of our world is about that surface level impression, and a lot of the actual strength and the actual
Something that has a profound impact on you.
Right, profound impact and deeper meaning. It's usually not on the surface level.
Right. I love that, the quiet strength.
Right, that quiet strength.
Dusk has.
Right, just because the next door, the kid sitting next to you has a Nike doesn't mean that they're any better than you.
How did you know I just got Nike shoes?
Right, because these gadgets have all these fancy gadgets, but what do they know about navigating the Emberdark? They don't know squat.
He's got that connection to something greater.
Right, and that is very personal. You cannot buy that.
I think we're going to end on Dusk and save Starling for next time, but
cool.
I want to see what we want to do kind of to close our...
Bondsmith, bonding, like bond our discussion together.
All right, let me reach into the spiritual realm here.
Not trying to put you on the spot, but just thought it was funny.
No, you're good. Trying to put it all together. You ready for this? Perpendicularity of Cosmere counseling coming up. In summary, the world is going to change around us, just like it changed around Dusk, and we can try to hide from it, we can try to fight against it, or we can use our good skills that we're learning through ACT or through other therapy models to accept that these changes are coming, and we're going to move forward with some confidence while watching for those signals we were talking about with our corpses appearing and our nervous system warning us, whatever it may look like for you. We move forward with those changes while making sure that we are problem solving and, when necessary, even stepping over our corpses so we can get to that point that Dusk got to, where we can reach our goal, whatever it is. We can move forward towards those goals.
Some potential action item with this episode on Dusk is,
what can you learn from Dusk?
Yeah, what from our discussion resonated with you? What maybe it's something that you can do to learn self-soothing skills to help you practice facing your fears and anxiety, using Dusk as an example to...
Maybe it's make a commitment. What's a corpse in your life that you could step over?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And maybe that's looking at how you might be stuck in the past and what you can do to be like Dusk and making small adjustments to the future in little ways that you can to enrich your life. And maybe it's just taking some time to ponder, how has your belief and your worldview influenced how you see the challenges that you have in your life and with just life in general. And if there's something there that you feel like may be serving you or may not be serving you.
Is there something you want to capitalize on because it's serving you, or is there something you might want to adjust and start trying to view things a little differently?
Right. Yeah.
So, thank you for joining us. We hope you have felt inspired to take the next step on your journey. Please share your thoughts and experiences and ask your questions using the comment function or by emailing us at fantasyframeworkstherapy@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. You can also follow us on Facebook for between episode updates. And remember to learn from the journey. And come back to the next episode for part 2 on Starling and the team.
We want to thank Kryogenic Design for the art thumbnail and Dr. Dave Stram and Rex Polanis from the Stronger Marriage podcast for their mentoring in getting this podcast started.